So let's go to Monday night. Obviously, Monday Night Raw, we saw the main roster debut of Keith Lee. And of course, the big story out of this is new music, new gear. Nobody could get over the fact that Keith Lee was, mixing it up with the two biggest players on Monday Night Raw on multiple occasions, getting mic time, getting a wrestling match with Randy Orton, and now already has a match on the pay-per-view with Randy Orton. I choose to look at things as the full package as they're presented. The music's not great. I'm not sitting here saying best music ever, anything like that. Also, he's going to have a new theme already on Sunday, so people can kind of chill out on that one. As for the gear, whatever, he said, and the bottom line is Keith Lee already addressed it. He said, music, gear, out of my control, relax, it's going to be fine. I choose again to look at the fact that he had multiple instances of mic time. He was in there with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. And he, like I said, he has a match this Sunday with Randy Orton. I think he is set up to be a major star based on what I saw on Monday. Obviously, you have to see that out. But from what I saw on Monday, Keith Lee is set up to be great. Tim, how about you?
I think it's a little too soon for Keith Lee, but also at the same time, the right time to send him. I'm curious to see how this works out with him on the main roster. If they're going to keep him in this high profile upper main event level. Debuting against Randy Orton is no small feat. You can compare it very much to John Cena debuting against Kurt Angle. The status of where Kurt Angle was on the card compared to where Randy Orton is now, and vice versa. It's a good way to not give us Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton at Payback again. It is a nice spreading out of that matchup. But, there's a lot of people who debuted that had really crappy themes their first week, and then all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 weeks later, they just get a really great theme. Like Baron Corbin, when he debuted his newest theme, the first iteration of that new theme was garbage. And now it's like top 5 WWE themes currently. So
Tim, before we get to Ryan and Mark, there's a comment here from Nikki. Mm-hmm. I know you will probably be better to address it than I can.
Mm-hmm.
The comment is Randy is not a great guy for getting anyone over.
Right. That's why Randy Orton got Mark Henry over when Mark Henry won his first World Heavyweight Championship. It's also why Randy Orton got Jinder Mahal over when Jinder Mahal won his first WWE Championship. Randy Orton...
Kobe.
Randy Orton will quickly get involved in matchups with superstars who may not necessarily be at that same main event level. I mean, look at what he did with Aiden English during the height of the Rusev Day stuff. Look at what he did with Rusev during that same time frame.
Kobe.
Randy Orton is the perfect guy to get in there if you need somebody to look as best as they can.
I agree. Ryan, your thought on Keith Lee's debut Monday on Raw?
Yeah, I think rubbing elbows with Randy Orton is a really good spot. If you want to tout him as being truly limitless, you might as well put him right near the top and see, what caliber you're working with on a main roster. Jim, I do have to disagree. I do think wrestling themes and appearances matter, especially on the first time you're seeing somebody. If you've not seen him, and you're not a consumer of NXT, we know more people watch Raw than NXT. The ratings prove that. That it's an important very first impression, and having generic rock song number 3, I don't think cuts it for somebody that's supposed to be Limitless to have the beginning of his theme and then cut it to just dumb rock song. And the WWE, I mean, you can't deny they have sort of a thing in covering some bigger guys' bellies. I'm not saying all of them. There are some bigger wrestlers. Kevin Owens wrestles in a t-shirt, always has. Keith Lee, I just don't think it needs to happen. I don't know. I find it super hard to believe that you're going to tell me taglines matter, but wrestling entrance themes don't. I find that one hard to buy into.
I didn't say that they don't matter. I said that people were making too big of a deal out of the music.
Because they matter.
No, themes, a good theme versus a bad theme, obviously a good theme is great. Like Kevin Owens' theme, great. Nakamura's theme, great. Randy Orton's theme, great. Like there's some bad themes out there. However, on a guy's debut, when everybody is so concerned, every time there's an NXT call-up, the biggest concern is that, this guy's going to be, he's going to get lost in the mix. He's not going to be a big player, and they're not going to treat him right. And on his first night, he's rubbing elbows with the WWE champion and the top heel on the brand. I can forgive a generic theme song and some like attire that people think isn't great, because I can see the fact that he is set up to do big things based on how they present him on night one overall.
Right. So we're agreeing that themes are important, though, right? Like that is something that we can all agree to.
Right. I mean, if Kevin Owens came out to like a ballerina song, it probably wouldn't fit the gimmick.
Well, no, Kevin Owens didn't do that. Kevin Owens kept his same theme from NXT when he came up and debuted against John Cena. So that was a really big moment. And a music change didn't affect,
because he wasn't still NXT champion, right?
Why would you? He was the NXT champion.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Okay. I remembered that.
So when you lose the championship 2 nights before, you have to get a new theme? What does the champion have to do with it?
Yeah,
Bob Roode came up with the same thing. Could you imagine how shitty Bob Roode would be without his theme song?
Keith Lee's the only. Yeah, Keith Lee's the only dude. The
NXT championship.
Yeah, Keith Lee's the only dude who got called up and got a theme change.
Okay, and here's the thing. I never said that theme songs were not important, which is what you're implying that I said.
I'm not implying that.
You kind of are.
I'm implying that it doesn't need to change. And I think people have a right to be upset when your favorite wrestler has a theme change. That's all I'm saying.
You can be upset that the theme is different, but losing sight of how important he's set up to be was the point I was making. People were losing sight of that and only getting hung up on the music and only getting hung up on the gear. And the man himself, Keith Lee, was like, guys, just chill. It's going to be fine.
But how much of that is damage control that he's trying to do so that the powers that be aren't like, yo, his fan base is problematic. We're gonna have Orton just kill him at Payback.
Well,
then he'll be just another black dude on Raw.
And maybe that's what he was doing. But the bottom line is, if that's what he was doing because of the fan base, then it's the fan base to blame, not the WWE. Because they are losing sight of the way he was set up based on his debut. Again, like it's the full package. The full package.
Right. And like I can excuse a bad theme when like you're changing a theme from one to another, but all this theme shows me is that Vince made a gut check decision. It's like, Keith Lee's available. Yeah, we're going to bring him to Raw. And that's literally what it's like. It's almost like he lost the title on Saturday. Once that Vince McMahon saw that Keith Lee lost the NXT title, he went to Paul and was like, hey, are you using him anymore? Okay. Repackage him, make him put on a body condom and send him out there. Who's got music? No one's got music for Keith Lee. Well, what's his theme now? Sounds like shit. Get something else. Now, I mean, what Keith Lee didn't always have that such good theme on NXT. It wasn't until he recorded Limitless. That's actually Keith Lee rapping on his own theme.
Yes.
He did the exact same thing on the Indies. What's to say they're just waiting for Keith Lee to do the exact same thing on this new song? Now, it's short-sighted that you debuted him with an unfinished theme.
Sure.
I get the physical presentation being changed. It's a lot more aesthetically pleasing. It's more marketable. You can put it on action figures or whatever. They did the same thing with Samoa Joe. They made him get out of the tights and they put him in the flowy MMA Muay Thai trunks.
Yeah.
So you don't see the whole jiggly thighs because that is the problem.
But again, intern Mark, I don't think we ever got to you on this one. Your thoughts on Keith Lee's debut?
Keith Lee, I'll tell you, I like the pink and black. It reminded me of the Hart Foundation. He's up there, like you said, he's rubbing elbows with the world champ and Randy Orton. It doesn't get much better than that for a debut. So even though the attire and the entrance theme is not quite what I hoped it would be, the fact of the matter is he's a top player right now on Raw. So that makes me happy.
Right, and that was the only point I was trying to make from the beginning. Themes can always change, gear can always change, but like everybody's biggest gripe when it comes to NXT call-ups is that they're going to get lost in the mix. They're going to be bottom feeders. They're not going to be respected. And on night one, Keith Lee was at the top of the show. He was respected and he's set up for greatness. And all of that was overlooked for music and gear.
But imagine, though, if Chris Jericho debuted August 1999 with the countdown to the millennium, everything's great. You get the countdown clock. You know you don't know who's coming, but you know something's about to happen.
Sure.
They do the countdown to 0. And then Keith Lee's theme hits, and it's Chris Jericho standing. Everything is exactly the same, but it's Keith Lee's theme.
I know who Chris Jericho is.
Don't the music guy's trying to tell me that music doesn't matter? That it would have been the exact same if Chris Jericho came out.
I'm not saying it would have been exactly the same. But however, if he goes toe-to-toe with, it was The Rock that night.
It was The Rock.
If he goes toe-to-toe on the mic with The Rock, I'm fairly quickly getting over the fact that his music was meh. Because he just went toe-to-toe with the best guy in the business on the stick.
Did they change an entrance video at all? The video was still the same. For the most part, kind of color scheming, right? That was roughly the same.
I believe so.
Like, imagine, I don't know, Walter coming up to Raw with the same thing, but like the Benny fucking Hill song playing in the background or something. Like, it's ridiculous to think that it doesn't matter, Jim. You're wrong. That's the last thing I want to say about it.
Again, I'm not saying it does not matter.
And
that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
To be short-sighted about that, though.
It gave people the reason to think that they're going to do with Keith Lee the same thing they do with everyone else from NXT. Already out of the gate, you have changed 2 identifiable pieces of Keith Lee. You have made him change his look. You have changed his entrance theme. And now, yes, he is being showcased as a top star against Randy Orton. Kevin Owens was showcased as a big star against John Cena. But like, if you look at the track record of NXT stars that come to WWE, They do have a lot of fanfare at first, and then they're just another piece.
Right, and that's why I said they have to see it through, but I think he's set up to be pretty fucking great.
If I've seen it 15 times, and 15 times it's been the same, when 16 happens, I'm hopeful for 16.
I think that argument, and this is gonna contradict almost everything I've said. My comments were strictly about entrance themes, but I think that argument's getting a little tired. That you're calling NXT wrestler call-ups. Look at actual champions: Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. These guys had really, really successful careers. Nakamura, and now he's fizzled out a little bit. Is that a heel thing? Is that like they turned him heel? How did he fizzle? Why did he fizzle? Bob Roode, kind of the same thing. Had a decent run on the main roster. So it's not Kevin Owens is a great example. Sami Zayn, who the hell knows what's going on with Sami Zayn anymore? I think these guys do come up, and it's really their own way. I mean, get over. I don't know.
Now's the 8-man tag on AEW, by the way. And Jason,
Oh,
I'm sorry we're not talking about it AEW enough for you. We may get to more AEW discussion, but I apologize that we're not talking enough All Elite Wrestling for you, Jason.
Andrade had a call up, was lukewarm, and now is on every single episode of Raw.
Yeah,
not in the main title picture, but he's featured every single week. I think there's plenty of examples of champions getting called up that do pretty well. Bo Dallas.
Let's see. Jason says his look and music can change all day long. At the end of the day, he's a 400-pound black guy. He's noticeable from NXT and will grow into an attraction WWE. I hope so. I mean, and again, that's where I said the initial presentation was great. He is set up for greatness and stardom. They have to see it through.
This entrance theme is so bad, you can go to the WWE Music YouTube page and it's not even listed. They posted Killian Dane's new theme a day ago, and they have not put up the piece of shit Keith Lee theme that they gave him on here. It's not a Dexter Lumis has this theme up there. The Flight of Drake Maverick, that's a real song. That made it on here, not Keith Lee's new jam.
I think it's just because it's unfinished.
Yes, and that was confirmed.
I think
that was confirmed by I forget the artist, but there will be a new or updated track for Keith Lee Sunday at Payback.
Well, then shame on WWE for rushing it.
Yes, that was my point.
Just have him debut at Payback then.
Against who?
Your mom. I don't fucking know.
Right. So
you do everything you do everything you did on Raw at Payback. You make Randy Orton jump Drew McIntyre backstage at Payback because he can't wait to get his hands on him. They say Drew McIntyre cannot defend the WWE Championship, and Keith Lee steps in and takes his place. And Keith Lee debuts against Randy Orton and has his first match at Payback instead of on Raw.
There you go. I would have been fine with. So yes, was it?
I know I'm a fat kid eating popcorn on a podcast.
Was it a like spur of the moment decision that brought on the call up? Probably. Like, let's be honest. I mean, it's probably now more than ever. WWE's operating week to week. Like, let's be honest here. They may have some long-term plans, but for the most part, they're probably operating week to week, show to show. So yeah, it may have been Vince going, "I want this guy, Hunter. Sorry, you're giving him up," and and it is what it is.